Good afternoon. I pray that your Monday was filled with spaces and places of joy, of peace, of happiness, that you found some time yesterday to just exhale. You know, a lot of times we find ourselves holding our breath. We hold our breath when we're stressed. We hold our breath involuntarily when we're anxious. And sometimes all it takes is to just be able to exhale. Exhaling allows your shoulders to drop. It allows your system to reset. So I hope that yesterday you found some spaces and places where you could just exhale and exhale on purpose. And so that you could lower your level, your feelings of stress in your body, and to kind of reset your system for a new day. We're continuing our conversation about toxic relationships. Yes, I have on my glasses because I'm going to be reading. And we're now at the place of how can we move forward, with the emphasis on we. If you remember, toxic relationships cannot move towards healing unless both parties are willing. It says, the author says, repairing a toxic relationship will take time, patience, and diligence. Time, we have to invest the time in it. It's not going to change overnight. We have to be patient because we both know, in both parties in a toxic relationship, you both know that toxic dance very well. You know how to push each other's buttons. And so learning a new dance, learning a new pattern will take time, it will take patience, and you'll have to be very intentional about working on it. It takes diligence. You just can't say, well, if they mess up one more time, I'm out. If you are intent on healing this, if both parties are intent, then you've got to work through the challenges. We make 4 steps forward and maybe a couple of steps back. But the point is we continue to moving forward if your intention is to heal this, if the two parties are both in agreement of healing this relationship. And so the first thing we want to look at, what she also says is, most toxic relationships often occur as a result of long-standing issues in the current relationship, or as a result of unaddressed issues from prior relationships. So let's look at that. Your relationship may have been toxic from day one. It could have. And that's a whole nother conversation. If you came into it and it was toxic and you're still in this toxic, that's a whole nother conversation. Maybe these videos was just an aha moment to make you realize this stuff ain't never been good. This has never been a great relationship. There's really, the good times have far outweighed the bad from the beginning. So that's a whole nother issue. But for a lot of people, the toxicity has been something that has been built up. It's something that's built up because a lot of times relationships start on a high note. Everything's wonderful, folk are getting along. Let's take parent-child relationships. For a lot of parents and children, as long as the children were too small to talk back, did not have necessarily their own opinion, as long as the parents could not force the child to do what they want them to do, for the parents' perspective, it was a great relationship, you know, and maybe it was for the child also. But once the child began to grow and began to experience other external relationships, began to developmentally grow and began to practice using their voices, which is a part of appropriate development, then all of a sudden the parents are like, who are you and who you think you talking to? And you know, it's going to be my way or the highway. This thing has been brewing from quite some time, you know. And a lot of times in those relationships, the child never talked back. The child kind of did as they were told. But then let me tell you a really quick story. So when I was in high school, the pastor of the church that I attended, he had been from deep in the South. He had been friends with my grandfather back in the South, and he was an old-fashioned black preacher. And he and his wife raised their children with an iron fist, okay? And I don't know if he hit them or whatever, but there was lots of rules in their house. There was lots of rules in the church. In the church I grew up with, a woman better not wear pants until that sanctuary. I remember one time a visiting choir sung a song and they said, Lord, he said, you ain't got to say all that, because he would call folk out. He was very clear about what was acceptable and what was not acceptable. But anyway, one of his children graduated from high school. And as they attended the high school graduation, when it was over, they were waiting for that child to meet them in the front to take pictures and all those things. But guess what? The child never showed up. When they got home, the child had left a note and had said, I am leaving home. I am done with you all. I'm going to live my life. Now, needless to say, the family was devastated. The church was devastated. But the point of the story is that fractured, toxic relationship had not just happened overnight. That child did not just lose his or her mind overnight. This had been something that had been building up. And so in most relationships, it can be something that has been building up through the life of the relationship, or it could be a result of unaddressed issues from prior relationships. You know, we all know the phrase that we bring bags, you know, that we have lots of bags. Erykah Badu talked about bag lady. We all bring or have the potential of bringing our past stuff into our current relationships, particularly if we have not healed from that past stuff, if we have not come to a place of restoration. But unfortunately, for a lot of people, they just move from one relationship quickly into another without addressing or without getting closure from the first relationship, without looking at what did not go well, what do I need to heal from. They bring the same stuff. They bring those same bags, and those bags could have been from the person who broke your heart 32 years ago, and you still taking it out on your current partner, okay? Your relationship with your people at work. You may have a toxic relationship with your boss, not necessarily because your boss is such an awful person, but you're still carrying the bags of that boss who you had when you worked as a teen in McDonald's, who did whatever to you. And so bringing unhealed stuff from past relationships can very well contribute to the toxicity of a current relationship. It's not even the current person's issue, but it's stuff you've been carrying or stuff they've been carrying for quite some time. And that kind of comes up into some other parent-child relationships. You know, I guess my generation and below, we are generations who divorce had really impacted us much more than, I guess, the previous generations, where people stayed together no matter what. And so, you know, now people may find themselves in problematic relationships with their parents, not because their parents are necessarily mean or not loving or not kind, but because they have not gotten over the fact that their parents divorced or separated however many years ago. That deep emotional wound has never been healed. And so this is a plug on healing, of obtaining closure. If you've had past experiences with toxic relationships, before you move on, before you begin to move forward, you may want to look at, what do I need to heal from? Do I want to carry all these old bags with me? Or do I want to start fresh? You know, a lot of us have experiences of having luggage that, I'm talking about real luggage, that we just love that luggage. And we continue to carry it with us even though the zipper don't half work, when the wheels done fell off, it done got beat up in the baggage claim, but we love that bag. We love those bags. And we may have multiple bags that look like that. So when we go traveling, we end up looking like, I don't know, we just got all these bags. And what happens is we keep, you know, bringing all that old baggage. We kept bringing all, and then we got our new vacation stuff in it. But because the old bag may have splits and tears, and it's been held together with duct tape or whatever, when that one baggage handler kind of throws it on the thing and your bag bursts open, You mad now. But what you didn't realize is it was that old bag that you keep dragging around that can no longer withstand the present situation. So I thought we were going to talk about the topic I had, but I decided we should need to rest right here and kind of look at how problematic it is when we are dragging old bags, old baggage, when we got old stuff that's never been resolved, and how that can contribute to the toxicity. You could be with the best person in the world. You could have the best children. You could have the best co-workers. You could have the best congregational members. But if you bring in the old baggage from that place that had hurt you, if you bring in the old baggage of the relationship that did not honor you, if you have not healed from that, then guess what? This new relationship is not going to be too much better. It's like trying to dress up a wound that never got healed. You know, in the Bible, it's like they talk about putting new wine in old wineskin. That old wineskin is dried out. It's starting to crack. It's no longer to really do what it could do when it was in a healthy state. But we continue to try to use that thing. So I want to encourage you today, as we are continuing to move forward, as we're continuing on our path of healing and restoration, I want to encourage you to look at them bags you've been dragging around. You know, what needs some healing? You know, do you want to keep carrying those old bags into this future that is laid out for you? You have big plans, you have big dreams. You were built, you were created with a purpose in mind. You were created to succeed. And we don't want to stop any of your success by you being bogged down by all the old bags that you've been carrying. You know, think about physical luggage. Some of you all are still dragging these suitcases that are so heavy by themselves that even if they were empty, you know, they're hard to manage. I invite you, it's time to get rid of that old baggage. It's time to heal. It's time to stretch out. It's time to take advantage of a brand new day with new possibilities, simply because you deserve it. And simply because the people who you're interacting with deserve a healthy you, as well as you deserve a healthy people to interact with. So we're going to end for today. Tomorrow we will continue our conversation. And tomorrow I have a big announcement I'm going to make for you all, a big opportunity. So I would invite you to stay tuned for the big opportunity. I'm excited about it, and I believe you will be too. And I invite you today to practice inhaling intentionally and exhaling intentionally. And repeat until your shoulders no longer feel tense, until your heart stops beating so fast, and whatever had made you mad is nothing but a memory. We want to move forward with a clean slate and leave that old baggage behind. Talk to you tomorrow. Love you. Bye-bye.